Next level. Next level.
What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone's having a wonderful day today, Sunday fun day. Thank you so much for joining me. We are going to get into the meat and potatoes of this video a little bit later on. But before we get into anything super serious and whiny and bitchy and all that, I just want to have a little fun. I just want to have, maybe a beverage or two. And we're going to talk about what I've been vaping on and get some first impressions out of the way. So you just build your thoughts. Build your thoughts for a few minutes. We're going to get started here. And first things first, let's just talk about what I've been vaping on. Boom. All right. So what I'm vaping on right now, where's my first one? First setup is the Druga Foxy with the Falcon tank, the original Falcon tank on top of there, because I am actually comparing this one to the Skirt S tank from Vaperesso. I want to know the difference. I want to know which one's better, which one's different, and or how they're different. And I have a hunch that the Falcon tank, the original Falcon tank, is better than the Skirt S. But that's just my hunch. I'm going to be testing that theory, and I might actually do a video on it. So that's that. I've got some Vape Craft in there. This one is Tropical Fruit. Why does my autofocus never work? There it goes. Oh, it wants to work. There it is. Vape Craft Tropical Twist. That's the flavor that I'm vaping. 0 milligram, and this is thanks to Samplebox. Samplebox sends me 0 milligram, and I am very much appreciative of that because it's really pushing me to quit nicotine. It's really pushing me to stop vaping nicotine because I said I was gonna, and I keep going back to it for some reason. So pushing myself more and more to not vape nicotine with the use of my Samplebox. So big shout out to Samplebox. Guys, go check out that video after this one because it needs some love. I did some first impressions on 4 different flavors with brand new coils. Everyone gets on my case about not vaping brand new coils, and the last one was fun. We'll put it that way. So that's my first setup. I love this tank. I love this setup. It's a little bit beefy. It's a little heavy. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Next one is, you've seen this week after week after week. This is the Rinco Manto with the Fat Rabbit tank on top of there. And I'm testing this one side by side with my next setup. And it's another Fat Rabbit tank on top of the VX200 mod. But let's talk about this one for a second. This is the pre-release version that leaks, or, you know, people have gotten leakage out of it. But for a while, I haven't been getting any leakage, which is kind of a good thing. I'm not complaining by any means, but for a while, that one hasn't leaked on me, which is kind of weird. Meanwhile, I got this new one in, and the first day I had it, it leaked a little bit, but then after that it stopped. So I have no freaking clue. I'm using Hellvape's coils in there right now, and I'm kind of doing a coil comparison between the two. One of them has the quad coil, the Hellvape quad coil. The other has the Hellvape mesh coil. So that might be another video coming up pretty soon. Just a little preview for you guys. And yeah, the juice that I'm vaping on in this one is Superb. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Superb White Currant. White Currant. Oh my God. It's good. It's very tart. It's very sour. Not quite as tart and sour as like the black currant flavors that I like, but it's different and it's interesting. Yeah. There's something about it that's just really different and interesting that I really enjoy. And it's just a nice change of pace from your standard blackcurrant stuff. And there's also no menthol in it. Usually I get these blackcurrant flavors with tons of menthol, and you could barely taste the blackcurrant. This one here, you can taste the whole flavor, and it's really good. So the next one I've got, I don't even have a battery in this thing right now. This is the Snow Wolf A-Fang. And this is their new pod system thing, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It's technically a pod system because there's a pod there. That is a pod, but it also has a coil in the bottom of it. So it's a removable coil pod system. We're actually going to do a first impressions on this in just a second here, but I was charging up the battery for a little bit before the show because I wanted to use this because this is actually the only setup that I have nicotine in currently. This has some pod salt, 10 milligram, what is it? Cuban Havana Gold. That's what it is. It's like a cigar flavor, and it, autofocus sucks. So this is a cigar flavor. I wanted to try a tobacco flavor because I haven't vaped a tobacco flavor in a while, and when I heard that's all we were going to have left, I had to know what it was going to be like. But in any case, we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, this thing is pretty good. Flavor, vapor production, draw, a lot of those things are really good, but aesthetically and functionality wise, I'm not too crazy about it. We'll talk about that in a second. See, this is like my hybrid hit, right? So you inhale directly, you start inhaling directly, and then at the end you kind of close off your throat and then inhale into your mouth and then finish it with a mouth to lung. Let me do it again. That way you get a huge pull from what appears to be a mouth to lung. So that's a new style for you guys. I'm not sure if you guys will take that up, but it's different and it's interesting and it gives you a hell of a hit. You can really feel it. Yeah, buddy. And last but not least, the fat rabbit. Yes, Lando, another fat rabbit and another. I'm going to keep talking about this damn fat rabbit. Fat rabbit on top of the VX200. We've already talked about this, so I'm going to keep it brief. This is the full retail version, and it's got the mesh coil in here. However, the flavor that I've got right now is a mixture of the grape that I had and this fruit punch one. The fruit punch one is fine, but it's still being overpowered by the grape, and it's, not great. I could still taste the grape in there. I might have to change the coil. I might just throw out this fat rabbit. I'm just kidding. But let's go ahead. That's what I'm vaping on today, just for the record. Mostly 0 milligram. This one, I don't even have the bottle with me. I didn't even bother to bring it because I'm just going to swap the coil out after I finish this tank because it's just not nice. But that's what I'm vaping on today. And let's go ahead and talk about, let's do some quick shout outs here because I forgot to shout you guys out. So let's do some shout outs. There we go. Let's go scroll all the way back up and we'll see who is in here first. All right. We've got Stu Rep is officially, I think he beat For British Eyes by like 1 second. So there was Stu Rep and For British Eyes only. You guys were the first two in here. Thank you for joining me. Joe Pastor, I hope I pronounced your last name right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Dire Thing, just got the notification for Savs. Me too. I got it right as I was about to go live. Chunkmeister, how's it going, buddy? We've got Jason Parker in the house. We've got Scott MC. Michael Stogner. Again, last names, I'm terrible with pronunciations. I do apologize. Feel free to murder my last name when you meet me in person, if you ever do. We've got Crimson in here. Jane Dodd. Hey, Shy Tots. Jane Dodd is in here. How we doing? All the way from the UK. Big shout out to Jane Dodd. We've got Lethal Coils, Mr. Chris Lethal Coils. He is a fellow Twitch streamer. We'll talk about that later on in the show, but make sure you guys check out his Twitch. Feel free to drop I think his Twitch name is the same, Lethal Coils, I believe. So make sure you check him out on Twitch. We've got 808 Kevin K. Aloha, brother. How we doing? Cal's Irons, Tetley Man. How we doing? We've got the Omi Bambino. How we doing today? We've got Mr. Lando, my numero uno Twitch pal. We've got Big Red Vapor Channel. How we doing? Ender's Other Game. Sup. You missed a good little hangout session today. I don't know if you're at work or whatever, but we did a Patreon hangout this morning, and it was just me and British Eyes. So it was cool. We had some fun. He was making a jumbo coil. I was playing some Fallout 4, and we were just kind of hanging out. Ebby Vapes. We've got a couple more here. James McDonough, how we doing? Nikki Maynard, Corey Gagney. And I think that's about it. I think I'm pretty much caught up. So that is you guys. Shout it out. If you want to shout out, you can always do a super chat for $1 or $2. Much appreciated as always. But that is the shout outs for this week. Let's go ahead and move it right along to some first impressions. Boom! First impressions. Now we're going to do a quick little first impressions of this guy right here. The Snow Wolf A-Fang. I want to call it Sigelli A-Fang, but it's a Snow Wolf A-Fang. First and foremost, I think one of the worst decisions they made about this device is having a nice kind of like sleek looking panel on this side. And on this side, we have this big, ugly, embossed Snow Wolf. Now, I'm sure there's people out there that really like how this looks with the big Snow Wolf on the back. But personally, I really wish they had this nice, classy kind of like, you can barely even see it. I'm trying to get it. It's either reflections or just plain black. You can kind of see it there. But it's got this like almost carbon fibery sort of texture going on, which I like a lot. It's really cool. They should have done that on both sides, in my opinion. Second thing is the button on this thing. I love the placement of the button. It's right here, so you have your thumb right there on it, and it's a really good placement. However, it doesn't feel clicky at all. There's no click to it, and it's a hair trigger, so I'm just going to click it real quick. I'm not sure if you guys can even hear that, but it fires up very quickly. But there's no tactile feeling to it whatsoever. It just kind of like mushes. And it also feels like it's on a pivot. So it's like you can press the top and the bottom and it just kind of like wobbles in place. So they should have put like a little membrane underneath this thing just to have it have some sort of like evenness when you press the button, in my opinion. Again, opinions, first impressions. They placed the airflow right there on the side, which if you got big hands like myself, you're probably going to end up covering that up. I learned that the hard way. I covered it up, and you basically get no airflow going on through this thing. You still get some. It kind of leaks in from the outside the pod, but not much. It's definitely not the wide open draw, because I have the airflow set to wide open on this thing currently. One thing I really like about it, USB-C. They put a USB-C on here. That is amazing, because now I can use my phone charger. So when I'm out and about, instead of having to figure out what I'm going to use for a cord, I can just unplug my phone in my car, plug in my vape, and I'm good to go. Just charge this thing up for 15-20 minutes while I'm driving to work or whatever. So that's definitely a good thing. And it's also universal, so you can flip it around either way and it's going to work, which is great. As far as the draw is very nice. The vapor production is very nice. The pod itself, I'm conflicted because it's a pod, but it takes a coil. So it's kind of like a little bit of both worlds in there. This fill port, in my opinion, is kind of badly designed because, let me see if I can show you. It's just one little hole. Let's try to get it to focus here, first of all. I can do it manually. Let's force the focus. So, the fill hole right there is just one small hole. Now, ideally, you want two holes so that the air can escape. So you want another hole up top here so that the air can escape. But instead, they put one small hole, and then that's what you fill it with. So you're forcing juice and forcing pressure into the chamber. And what that does is it causes it to flood the coil. So every time you fill this thing, you're going to end up with a mouthful of juice. This is the first puff you take on it, which sucks. So it's a pain in the ass as far as that's concerned, but the flavor is great. The vapor production is great. The draw is really nice. I like the button placement. So there's a lot of positives and a few negatives. Yeah, it feels a little bit cheap because it's very plasticky, and I think, honestly, the little Snow Wolf engraving logo thing on the back makes it look cheap, and that's just my opinion. But we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail when I do the full review, and I'm going to go over the email that they sent me when I gave them these impressions. I'll give you guys their response when I do the full review, because I think it's interesting. You know, as a reviewer, you're expected to maintain this constant contact with the manufacturers and, you know, give them the feedback before you give your review and this and that. So they always ask you like, oh, what do you think about it? What do you think about it? Well, usually I just ignore those emails, but this time I decided to reply, and I regret it because the response that I got back was a little bit lackluster, and I'm just going to leave this as a cliffhanger for you guys because you got to watch the full review to find out exactly what happened. So with that being said, let's have a few puffs off of this thing here, and then we'll move on. I don't know. I just got a little bit of a burnt hit there. I'm not sure why. Wait, let me check my tank. Is my tank empty? That's another thing. Is it's very difficult to see your juice level inside the tank because it's like a dark, smoky kind of color. So I'm just going to throw some juice in there. Not sure if it's completely out or not, but either way, I'm just going to put some juice in there. And hopefully we don't get the world's biggest mouthful of liquid. Don't comment on that. Don't think about it too much. All right, it's not bad. But I don't know if you guys saw me on Vape Stew the other night, flicking this thing like that. I'll just flick it because sometimes there's just a bunch of juice just gathered inside the coil, and it's really, really annoying. And my finger was covering the air hole. Of course. Anyways, so that's about all I've got for you guys as far as first impressions is concerned. Now, before we get into the big main scary topic that we're going to be talking about, we're going to do a little beer testing here, beer tasting, pairing, whatever. You know what time it is. It's beer o'clock. There we go. This is still nice and frosty and cold. We've got Hootie from 6 Point Brewery out of Brooklyn, New York. This is a hazy India Pale Ale, which is one of my favorite types of IPAs. I'm a big IPA guy. I like a lot of hops. This is actually low on the hop index. Only has 5 IBUs, which stands for International Bittering Units, and it's 5.4% alcohol by volume. And we've got my fancy glass here. Fancy glass. If you don't drink beer out of a fancy glass, are you really drinking beer? I'm just kidding. You can drink it however you want. One of my favorite sounds. I still want to put that on a t-shirt. Just hashtag I drink beer out of a fancy glass. What do you guys think? Speaking of t-shirts, I'm thinking about re-releasing the Glitch shirt that I had on Teespring, but this time I am using a much better company to do my shirts. So, and if you guys didn't know, yes, I do have merch. It's at my website, dailyvape.tv. You can check that out. Link is in the description below. Yay! All right, so we've got it all nice and poured here. As you can see, just like it says in the description, it's very hazy. Nice, bubbly white head on there, about 3/4 of an inch thickness. Nice head. That's what she said. Lacing-wise, kind of a runny lacing. It doesn't really stick to the side of the glass, but kind of didn't expect it to be honest with me. To be honest with you. Let's just go over to the Untapped site here real quick, and we'll see what they have to say about it. So this says it's got a 3.73 rating, which is pretty good. On Untapped, it's a hazy, bright pale ale hopped with Idaho 7, Eldorado, Galaxy, and Amarillo. That blend of strains creates a potent but light and fresh hop aroma, satisfying but still real easy to gulp. Well, let's find out for ourselves here. Let's do a quick sniff test. Oh my God, it smells so good. A little bit floral. Oh my God, that's amazing. Little floral, little citrus. Not super potent, you know? It's not like a super potent like smell, but it smells really good. So let's have a taste. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's real light. It's not too boozy, not too like alcohol heavy. It's a real easy like all day drinker sort of thing. Not quite, you know, it's a little bit too high for being a session, but I could definitely see myself, you know, drinking quite a few of these in a row without going too far. You know, it's not going to get you completely hammered. This is nice. Very, very good. Taste is amazing as well. It's very, very fruity. That's kind of the best way to describe it. It's very like mixed citrusy. I almost get like a pineapple out of it. It's Chunk said it looks like a pineapple cocktail, and I honestly almost get like a pineapple juice sort of taste out of it. Oh yeah, that's very light and refreshing. It's almost tropical. You almost get like a I want to say guava. It's almost like a bit of like a guava orange, pineapple-y sort of like tropical blend. And I know this is kind of like up to interpretation, but man, this is good stuff. What do I have that can pair? Oh, well, I guess, I mean, hopefully it's not too much of a, uh, uh, you know, a matching, but this is tropical twist from Vape Craft. So let's see how this one pairs up. Let's give it a puff here real quick. Oh, that's good stuff. It's good stuff. The beer is obviously a lot more bitter, so the vape actually brings out a lot of sweetness. I mean, I say the beer is a lot more bitter because it's, you know, it is bitter a little bit. So that's kind of why the sweetness of the e-liquid is just really just bringing it out from Vape Craft. Yes, Vape Crap. Yeah, Vape Craft. Tropical Twist. There we go. Vape Crap. That would be a terrible name for an e-liquid company. So, it's not a bad pairing. I wish I had something with guava. I feel like guava would be like the perfect pairing for this one. Like peach and guava, something like that. Devil's Punch Bowl comes to mind from Cali Vapes. Feel like that would be the perfect pairing for this one. Yeah. The beer, you know, now that I tasted the e-liquid, the beer tastes more bitter to me now. So it depends, because before when I took the first sip, it was like on the sweeter side, but now it's like it tastes more bitter. The beer actually tastes more bitter, which I'm not complaining about. You know, I don't mind a bitter beer. It's not really super high on the bitterness scale either, but now it's just a bit more apparent, if you know what I mean. So that is one beer. I've got a backup here too. And if you guys are indulging in a few beverages as well, I would love to know. And or what is your favorite beverage or pairing, adult or otherwise? Leave it down there in chat. I'd love to hear from you guys. Oh man, right after you pour it though, that's when you get the most flavor. Right after you pour it, you get like that rush of like juiciness, and that's the best. I'm gonna abstain from vaping for a minute just to see if I can keep this sweetness around on my palate. Yeah. I'm gonna need this before what we're about to talk about too. So with that being said, let's go ahead. Let's talk about it, guys. Let's go to some news and updates. There we go. So, as I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, in the United States right now, we are facing a national flavor ban. Nationwide, there will be nothing but tobacco-flavored e-liquids. According to President Trump, he wants to stamp out the youth vaping, quote, epidemic by banning flavored e-liquids. Now, in his original tweet and address, he mentioned something about we can't have people getting sick. Now, that leaves me to my interpretation of that is that he's kind of getting his news confused with the mainstream media saying vaping is bad, vaping is doing this, vaping is doing that. And the people getting sick because of the black market THC cartridges are being, vaping is being blamed for those. So I think that's where Trump is kind of getting confused on the whole situation, and he just moves in for a strike on everything. So I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the chat. What do you guys think about this? What do you think about the future of vaping in the U.S., whether you're from here or across the pond? I know I've got a few guys from the U.K. watching right now. What are you guys' thoughts about this? Yes, I know we just talked about this on Savs, but I kind of wanted to get everyone's thoughts here on my channel and my platform. But personally, I'm going to say that obviously we know that it's not our style of vaping. It's not our type of vaping at all. We're talking about black market THC cartridges that are laced with vitamin E acetate, which is used to make the liquid thicker. It's a thickening agent, and it contains oils, which is terrible for your lungs. Your lungs basically aspirate oil, and then you get sick and your lungs fail. So I know this. Many of you guys know this. How can we get our point across to the president that what he's doing right now will not solve anything? It's not going to solve the youth vaping epidemic. Their words, not mine. And it's also not going to solve the cartridge epidemic. And if it were me, in my opinion, I feel like how we can curb the youth vaping epidemic is by lowering our highest amount of nicotine. So as we all know, in America, we have 50, 60 milligram nicotine e-liquids. We have disposable pod systems that go up to 70. Yes, that is a thing. People are asking me for 70 milligram disposable little pods. And I'd say the average vapor probably vapes, 3 milligram. And even most people that vape Salt Nic don't vape the 50. They vape 25, maybe 30. So if it were up to me, I'd put a limit on nicotine content. Limit it to 25 milligram and start weeding out some of these really crappy disposable pod companies that offer up 70 milligram. That's just asking for a nicotine addiction, because that's going to appeal to the people that are kind of like a grab and go and don't want to spend a lot. They want to spend like $10 and they can get 70 milligrams of nicotine. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's my thinking on the matter. It doesn't take a genius to realize that prohibition doesn't work. And I feel like we do need to do something about the youth vaping issue. And we also need to do something about the black market THC issue. Now, as far as that goes, my whole thing is legalize it nationwide. That way you leave the states to decide whether or not they want to legalize it in their state, and therefore we can have less of this black market business going on. We can have more kind of an open talk about the formerly taboo cannabis plant, and we could possibly even get some strides going into cultivation and extraction and have a bigger, brighter community and have less stigma of the people that use and manufacture and, consume cannabis. Myself, personally, I am not a cannabis smoker. I dabble once in a while. It is legal in my state recreationally. If you're 21 years or older, you are allowed to use cannabis. You can even grow it in your house. You are allowed 6 plants per adult in the household with, I think there's a maximum. I forget the maximum, but there is a maximum, I believe. But I'm allowed to grow 6 plants if I wanted to. So that being said, as far as that situation goes, I feel like it's inherent that we create a better culture for the formerly taboo. You know, we're dealing with people in government right now that are getting up there in age, and they lived through a time when there was the reefer madness, and there was a lot of scare tactics used to try to kind of suppress the information about cannabis and its benefits and its medicinal tendencies. So I just feel like we need to stop the crap, stop the bullshit, stop dealing with like these politicians that know nothing about a subject, and get to the root issue here. Because all you're doing by banning something is creating a black market for it, which causes problems. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, if you have something that's illegal, it's not going to stop people from getting it. It's going to make law-abiding citizens into criminals. So let's go ahead and that was my little rant. That's what I've been holding in all week long. And honestly, I just had to get it out there. So I'm going to go through and just kind of go back through chat a little bit. Let's see. I do apologize for that rantiness, but let's see. He did backtrack a lot with the tweet. Yes, he did, but one tweet is not a savior from anything. Let's put it that way. We still have to be on our guard. We still have to make the phone calls. We have to just keep driving the point home. Call the White House. Call the White House. Call the White House. Phone calls matter. If we light up their switchboards, people are going to take notice. And I feel like that's probably the most impactful thing that we can do at this point right now. I will put the phone number for the White House in the description below, but if someone has it off the top of their head, could you please post it in chat right now? I would very much appreciate it. Would this administration need to wait 48 hours after any announcement? Yes, that is very much true. I'm afraid for the industry, but not for myself. Yes, for the newly transitioned vapors and smokers that want to quit or would quit by using vaping, yes, absolutely, Chris, you are 100% right about that. You show him the impact to jobs, economy, and his voter base. That's a very big thing, too. We've noticed some of the Republicans already kind of speaking out, one of them being Mr. Crowder, Steven Crowder there. He's got the little podcaster show or whatever, Louder with Crowder. He's got a huge, huge following, and most of them are very much conservative Republicans, and they all vote, and a lot of them are like him. They might not be vapors or cigarette smokers, but they might indulge in cigars, which they're going after as well. Because all of this flavored stuff means it's including flavored tobacco products. So there's that. Won't be able to vape since the shops will end. I rely on vape shops to get everything, not just e-liquids. Yeah, vape shops nationwide are going to close or turn into head shops. That's the big thing. They're going to turn into head shops overnight. Let's see. Sorry, needed a sip there. Someone needs to explain to Trump that there's a difference between vaping and vaping nicotine. Vaping is a method. Vaping nicotine is what we do. You know, the good stuff. Absolutely right, Chunk. Andy says, Nick, perhaps you need to word it like a kindergarten book so Trump will understand it better. And Chunk says it'll have to have pictures. Yeah. If it's a pop-up book, even better. Just like, woo! It's terrible. As far as following TPD is concerned, I disagree there. I think TPD went a little bit too far with the restrictions on the bottle sizes. That's asinine. Obviously, with you guys in the UK, you worked right around that, which is what we could also do as well, because they cannot touch 0 milligram. So there's no way for them to really have a say in what goes on in 0 milligram e-liquid. If you short fill a bottle and don't say anything about putting a Nick shot in there or mixing it or anything like that, then there's nothing they can do to touch it. So at the end of the day, we could easily do either flavor shots or Nick shots and we'd be fine, but the industry would have to completely change, and we would have to go through basically what you guys are going through over there in the UK. Although I wouldn't put it past him to delay a ban till after the election. He's an idiot for doing it now. I mean, you're less than, well, right around a year away from an election, and he's pissing off 10.3 million Americans, on both sides. So, not a good look. Not a good look at all. We had 50 milligram Nick Salt and new laws max 20 now in Iceland. Well, thank you for that, Ebby. I had no idea, but that's kind of like how I would put it over here. And China is not doing us any favors because all they're doing is coming out with more and more pod systems. I mean, look at this thing. So all they're doing is pushing the pod narrative, and they're not helping us whatsoever here. We need to get more creative with our devices once again and get better devices for low milligram vaping, if that makes any sense to you guys. Higher Nick helps smokers quit. It's proven with a study. Okay, but you can have 20 milligram and still get a satisfying hit out of it. Before Nick Salt ever came around, we were just fine quitting. I quit long before Nick Salt, and you could start with 24, and at the time there was even like 36 milligram, but that's not really a huge thing anymore. Take them out of gas stations and convenience stores. Yes, but that's also limiting the access. Most people in the U.S. don't have a vape shop anywhere near them. So you're talking to the entire Midwest, and certain places down south are going to be miles and miles and miles away from their local vape shop. So limiting access is not a good thing either. But I feel like we should probably limit what they can sell at convenience stores, and maybe have some sort of like mandatory training. That might be helpful as well. Yeah, 70 is definitely crazy. At least you agree with that, Brian. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up on chat here, you guys. I do apologize. There's 2 numbers to call. Yes. Thank you guys for throwing those up in chat. I really do appreciate that. Light up the switchboards. We vape, we vote. You're damn right, Izzy. Keep on fighting. We are together in this 100%, and that crosses all borders too. In Germany, 20 milligram is max nicotine, and nicotine liquid is only allowed in 10 ml bottles. They follow the TPD, just like the UK. I'm pretty familiar with it, actually, considering I've been over there quite a few times, and I'm planning on going to Germany this coming May. That's the game plan, at least. But we'll talk about that at a later date, once it's closer. If you live in New York, call the governor's office as well. That's true. The governor is planning on doing a vape ban. New Jersey is doing a vape ban. I think New Jersey's trying to do an all-out vape ban. Like, you're not allowed to even use them in New Jersey. I think that's what the plan is. We're going to probably touch on that more a little later on in the week, possibly on Vape Stew. Let's see. I use 0 milligram only. That's awesome, but you got to think bigger picture. You got to think of the people that haven't found vaping yet. You got to think of the people that are not familiar with what's going on. You got to inform everyone, regardless of whether or not you vape nicotine or not. It's your job as a vapor to just tell people the benefits of it that question you. If you have people coming up to you in the street and saying, well, I heard those kill people, it's your job to basically set the record straight and let them know that it has nothing to do with our style of vaping. How we doing, everybody? Thank you guys so much for joining, and I'm really glad we're having this conversation. I feel like it's very, very important, very impactful, and I like spitballing ideas, because sometimes you guys come up with some stuff that I really like, and then I could spread the word, and then we get something going. So having this conversation is a necessity. So yeah, we're pretty much caught up now. Let's see. I'm not talking about flavors. Straight Nick, like Nick Shot, won't be available for purchase by consumers. We don't know. The other thing is there's a lot of speculation going on, but we have no clue what the scale of this is going to be. There's tons of speculation. There's tons of people throwing these ideas saying, oh, well, it's going to be nationwide flavor ban, blah, 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 blah. We don't know. He literally didn't say anything yet on specifics as far as what's going to be banned, what's going to be allowed. And, we're kind of all just, I just don't want anyone to throw anything under the bus quite yet. Like, I mean, yeah, I was talking about, Nick salts, but I'm not a Nick salt user. So I'm sure person B, would say that they want to defend their Nick salt. They want their 50 milligram. They think it's necessary. But personally, since I don't use it, I don't really think about it. So as far as I'm concerned, I could do without pod systems altogether. I actually decline a lot of pod system review requests. And let me tell you, if you think I have reviewed a lot of pod systems, just imagine how many I would have reviewed if I accepted every single one of them. There is just tons and tons of pod systems out there that I have not reviewed, that I've had the opportunity to. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. And that's kind of leading me to my assumption that China is not helping us. China is not doing us any favors right now by just coming out with pod systems. I mean, I've been vaping for almost 8 years rather. It'll be 8 years. I believe November 21st is my quit date. So in those 8 years, it started off with little cig-alike looking things that had, 24 milligram or 18 milligram free-base nicotine. And then it went for more power. You went more powerful. So you got the Ego C, or the Ego Twist, excuse me. So you got the Ego C and the Ego Twist. Then you had like bigger and bigger devices. So there was starting to become like this necessity for more power. People were making their own devices. And it wasn't until like, the early days of the mod, that being like the Silver Bullet or the King mod or, any of the old school mods, that we started noticing people using less nicotine because they were getting more vapor production. So then the mech mod was born. There was this rebuildable craze and this mech mod craze. And all of a sudden it went for more and more hard hitting. We wanted hard hitting mods. So we had this stage where we wanted as hard as hitting as possible. Copper, was coming out, copper mods. Before that, it was meant to be like an art piece. It was pretty. It had like a gold band in the middle, and it was meant to be cool looking. And you were meant to put a 1 ohm coil and a K-Fun on top, Nowadays it was, or a few years ago when the cloud chasing craze was getting big, it was bigger and bigger mods and crazier builds and all this other stuff. So you started noticing the kind of general trend of people lowering their nic strengths. And even with vape shops kind of emerging at that point in time, these local brick and mortar vape shops popping up everywhere with, there was no 3 milligram at that time as well. There was 6, 12, 18, 24, and in some cases 0. But then 3 milligram kind of popped up. This is like vaping history 101 here. I hope I'm not boring you guys. But then, you notice like the necessity for 3 milligram. And I kind of followed the trends. I followed the trends all the way through. Some people didn't. In my local group, we had a local group, New England Vapors, that would meet up once a month at a restaurant or a bar somewhere. And 9 times out of 10, the restaurant or bar would actually let us vape inside because we weren't cloud chasing. We weren't chucking massive clouds. We were just kind of sitting in the corner, puffing like this. Not even that. That was even too much, honestly. So Back then, I was moving forward. My group was just staying stagnant using their mouth-to-lung rigs with 12 milligram and whatnot. And I was already cloud chasing with my rebuildable atomizer and my rig mod. And I was like, why don't you guys upgrade? You know, there's this more powerful mod out. And they're like, we don't care. We just want to vape like this. And I can almost guarantee to this day, 90% of those people that are still vaping are still using the same setup or something very similar. So it just goes to show that progress isn't always a good thing. You don't have to move with the trends. You don't have to vape Nic Salt because everyone else is vaping Nic Salt. And you don't have to lower your Nic strength either. See, Mowgli remembers. Mowgli knows NEV. You don't have to lower your Nic strength either. If you want to vape 6 milligram and your friends all vape 3, don't feel pressured to lower your Nic strength. There's no purpose behind it other than either social pressure or your body kind of just letting you know that that's too much nicotine. So if you can handle 6 milligram on a regular basis, do it. If you can handle 10, 20 milligram, fine. I don't care what you vape, as long as you're vaping and you're not smoking. Again, I apologize for the rant, you guys, but I've just been fired up all week. I haven't yet to really have a platform of my own that I can just rant and rave, so I'm using this time for that. And I know we're running out of time here for our hour-long show, but kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of a platform as well. So any questions, comments, concerns, anything you guys want to talk about, I'm going to open up this time right now for whatever you guys want to talk about. So anything and everything is on the table, and it could be vape related or non-vape related. If you guys want to talk about movies or music or whatever, it's completely up to you. Yeah, well, let's see. Wait, Chunk. What did Chunk say? FYI, please note that is not a challenge. Yeah, don't do 18 milligram at 60 watts. I wouldn't recommend it. Or do. What do I care? It's not my body. I hope you guys are enjoying these shows too. I wanted to do a live show for the longest time, but I couldn't find a time slot that really fit my schedule and everything. But Sunday has kind of turned into Sunday stream day for me, because I go from doing a Patreon only stream between like 11 and 1. And then I go on Sabs till from 3 to 4 p.m. And then I'm on here 5 to 6 p.m. And then after this, I'm doing a Twitch stream where we're going to play probably some Fallout. If not, we might link up with a couple of guys playing some GTA or maybe even Red Dead Redemption. I don't know. We'll find out. But pretty much an hour after this stream, I'm going to be doing that. And, yeah, football. Jason wants to know if there's any Cowboy fans here. Personally, I'm a hometown fan, so New England Patriots. I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, I know. But I'm not like a super hardcore football fan, so whatever. I'm more of a hockey fan than a football fan. I like the Bruins. Hashtag aftershow. Aftershow is on my Twitch. Twitch.tv/slightlybuzzed. Do I have the link in the description? I think I do. I do have my Twitch link in the description. So check that out. Yay! Direct lung with 2 milliliter and 2 milligram, I'm assuming, and mouth to lung 6 milligram. Interesting. What should we do with our devices? What do you mean? It's an interesting one. Stockpile? I don't know. Oh boy, here we go. Everyone's posting up their teams in chat. I didn't mean to start this war here. Really didn't mean to. Started my new job, went outside for a smoke break. I was the only one vaping. One guy asked me if I started showing any symptoms yet. Oh my God. Corey, dude, you gotta, like I mentioned, it's your job, man, to advocate and educate for your industry. You know, you might not think about it when you buy your first vaporizer, but the second you buy your first vape, then you instantly sign an invisible contract that says that you have to defend vaping. Check out your site. Okay, let's see. Chunk, I know you posted a super chat. I was going to save that till the very end, but let's see. ukvapehub.co.uk. Check it out and tell Chunk he is a big poopy head. I don't know. I'm just kidding, buddy. Teach Jay to tell time for salves. Yes. If I could, I would. And if I could stream with salves, because like as you've seen with this here, it's running pretty good. I don't think we've lost connection this entire time. It's running pretty smooth for me, so hopefully it's an enjoyable experience for you guys. But the problem with Macs is they don't like you taking the desktop audio and routing it through another source to be outputted to a stream. So basically that's my number one problem, and I've tried everything. I even have this little cheap USB sound card with cat hair on it. Sorry. There's cat hair on my sound card. But nothing seems to work for me. Izzy says, go Pats. All right. Let's see. Cowboys may give the Patriots a run for their money. We'll have to wait and see. Honestly, like I'm a fair weather football fan. Like I said, I'm more about hockey than anything else. Yeah, we have to let people know that we're not gonna like just keel over and die when we're vaping. 3 milligram direct to lung, 12 milligram mouth to lung. Everyone's posting up their Nick preferences. That's interesting. Keep it going if you guys want. Dude, PS2, Red Dead Revolver. That's a classic. I mean, people can root for whoever they want to root for. That's my opinion. Like, people get on me about liking the Patriots, but it's just been, I grew up with the Patriots. When I was a little kid, I didn't know any better. I rooted for the Cowboys back in the day, and I rooted for Miami back in the day. It was all like I had these players that I idolized, and that's who I followed. But, that was me not knowing shit about football, just kind of going with the flow. Try to catch up here. Yes, Moog's DIYs. So if you need juice after the vape ban, go hit up Mowgli. He can supply you for a very fair price. I'm sure he'll be posting his price list on his Facebook any day now. Do you still do that, Moogs? I'm kind of curious. Oh, you vape, you automatically become part of the vaping militia. Yes, that is true. So many people think it's bad for you. Yeah. I hate when I have customers come into my shop asking me that type of questions. Those types of questions. Wow, I can't speak English. So it just sucks, man. When people come in all concerned and you have to kind of calm them down. What's up, Straight Drippin'? How we doing? Let's see. I'm glad you guys are educating too. Yes, the vaping militia. That used to be a thing. I still have a t-shirt for the vaping militia. They used to have t-shirts and vape bands and all sorts of stuff, but I don't think they ever ended up doing anything. They were an activism group, not an not like CASA or anything like that, but they were like meant to kind of like mobilize people. So they were the jump off point telling people to go do this. It's like, oh, CASA said this, go do this. But other than that, they didn't really do much. I hate to say it. Good people in that group too, but they didn't do anything for us. They didn't really help. Sorry. Let's see. Nick salts are the devil. Yes, that's true. Oh yeah, we've been talking about football, and we've got people from the UK in here. And I've been confusing everybody. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to confuse anybody. We're talking about American football. I don't know anything about UK football other than there was some crazy riots. I've seen some UK football riots. They are ridiculous. The football fans over there are hardcore. If you think American football fans are crazy, yeah, actual football fans are ridiculous, man. They literally will beat the shit out of you. All right. I think we're going to wrap it up here in a minute. Everyone have a good deep vape real quick. Everyone just vape. Oh, that's good. That's good stuff. Hooligans, that's the word I was looking for. Whew! All right, guys. So that was my ranty, ravey little bit today. Hopefully it was a bit constructive. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully we got a conversation going that you can carry on in your various vape groups. And, you know, don't leave the conspiracy theorists out here, too. I mean, personally, it could have been plants. It could have been actors. It could have been anything. We don't know. We're just the peons that just go watch the news and think everything's true. So don't leave that kind of out of the equation for all you conspiracy theorists out there. Possibly next week we might have a segment that isn't like completely unvape related. We'll talk about something really random. So if you have any suggestions, leave it in chat, leave it in the comments after this goes up live, or drop me a message or something like that. I'd love to hear from you guys always. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Daily Vape TV live stream experience. We will be broadcasting once again next Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or it would be 10 p.m. in the UK. Greg Conley is a god. If you didn't catch him on CNN, make sure you guys check out the replay of that. But if you want to check me out, in about an hour, I'll be streaming over on my Twitch, twitch.tv/slightlybuzzed. Link is in the description below. Give it a follow, and we're going to be hanging out, having a good time over there. New channel is going to have some content on it very soon, I promise. I know I've been saying this for a couple of weeks, but I've been very, very busy. But thank you guys for hanging out. Really did have a blast chilling with you guys. We'll see you all next week. Have a good one. And as always, I guess I should end it properly. As always, vape on and call the White House.